What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 46 of the Game Room Podcast. I'm your host, Rome, along with information on the 007 game and the topic of the show, which is kind of the final news roundup for the Bungie layoffs, which, Dev, you weren't here last week, so kind of get your take on that as well. Obviously, for those that don't know, over 100 people got laid off at Bungie, which we'll talk about later on in the show. But for now, let's dive right in to the news headline. Number one on the headline: Modern Warfare 2 maps, not the original Modern Warfare 2, but the Modern Warfare 2 that came out last year. All of those maps will be added to Modern Warfare 3 post-launch, um, which is actually funny because Modern Warfare 3 is launching, Dev, with all of the OG Modern Warfare 2 maps. So both Modern Warfare 2s are going to have all of their maps in Modern Warfare 3. So, producer Jeff, I want to ask you, how did you feel overall about the maps of Modern Warfare 2 last year? And how do you feel about them, coming back? Do you think that they're worth bringing back? Like, what are your thoughts on them?
Oop, wrong button. So I didn't really enjoy the maps very much for multiplayer. You know what I mean? And I'm not impressed at all with what I've seen from MW3. So I don't even plan on purchasing it. So I'm pretty much out on COD at this point.
That's honestly, that's pretty understandable. See, I didn't think Modern Warfare 2's maps were really that bad. I just feel like the game didn't do well as in terms of post-launch content, where like those maps weren't good enough to kind of stave off the need for more and better maps, which was kind of a shame. I think that this also, the main reason I wanted to include this is kind of a concern that I have with Modern Warfare 3 going into it, that it feels too much like an expansion. Like, well, for one, we've talked about on the podcast when it was reported a couple months ago, this was originally supposed to be an expansion for Modern Warfare 2 that they're selling as a full game. So I mean, there's a lot of concern going into it. Where is there going to be enough to really justify a $70 price tag? And it's actually kind of weird that they're not having like all of Modern Warfare 2 maps available at launch. You know what I mean? Like they have them ready. Like why wouldn't you launch with all the maps? Um,
I don't understand how they can possibly try to be selling this obvious expansion as a full game. It's actually laughable. Um, I have no idea what they're even thinking.
I agree actually. And so obviously the campaign review scores have come out. People are saying that it's the worst Call of Duty campaign to date. It's scoring like the bigger outlets are giving it like fours and fives. Um, as someone who like really likes the Call of Duty campaigns, that's kind of disheartening for me because I was looking forward to seeing where we went from here, um, based off of like the trajectory of what this trilogy should be, based off like the OG. Um, so I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed. There are a few things that I am admittedly looking forward to in Modern Warfare 3. I do think Modern Warfare 2, the original, has some damn good maps. So getting those in a modern Call of Duty setting definitely is still intriguing.
So,
Um,
real quick, Rome, did you ever watch Jev, the Call of Duty player? JEV?
it sounds familiar. It's possible, but
He's
I'm not.
probably the biggest YouTube channel for Call of Duty, like doing the grinds for camos and all that stuff. He recently just did the playthrough of the new Modern Warfare 3, single player campaign. And it literally just ends out of nowhere in the middle of the story. And he was
Oh,
like, "Oh, this is obviously was supposed to just be an expansion. Now we get the confirmation." You know what I mean?
that's upsetting. Well, and then another thing which I was reading is that there's so on PlayStation there's no platinum trophy for the game, which like all games have platinum trophies. Like that's not something games don't have. So it's like, oh wow, like this was really supposed to be an expansion. Like, there's no platinum trophy on the PlayStation side. That's crazy. And it's such low effort too, where you could very easily just make a trophy. Like usually the platinum is like get all the other trophies,
Maximum
but
effort.
DLC and stuff don't have platinum. So it's like you very easily could just turn on a platinum and says, "Hey, get all the trophies that are in this expansion," and they didn't even do that. That being said, um, Just because, I mean, like, I enjoy the gunplay. I have a set of friends who that's all they play. So it's like if I don't buy a Call of Duty for a year, I just don't talk to them for a year. So for me, it's kind of like a social thing.
You're playing it for the multiplayer.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
for
like,
sure, for sure. But I usually enjoy the camp. I usually enjoy the entire pack. So I'm a little disheartened going into it, but
It does feel like you're about to spend $70 on DLC.
you know what's gonna make it really great when like next year rolls around? I don't know if it's for sure gonna be next year, but when next year rolls around and like a really great Call of Duty that Treyarch's been cooking for 3 years comes out and it comes to Game Pass,
I hope so.
that's gonna be amazing. And we're gonna be like, man, remember when the old Activision charged $70 for model for this
Yeah.
for this?
Don't count your eggs before they hatch.
I mean, they're going. We know that it's coming to Game Pass eventually.
Sure, but we don't know how good it's. We don't know if they've actually been working on it for 3 years or like.
Well, we know Treyarch's been working on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I understand your take, but the Call of Duties are coming to game, so that's gonna be. All right, number 2 on the headlines. Snake's original voice actor from the Metal Gear games is teasing a return. David Hayter portrayed protagonist Solid Snake in 1998's original series entry Metal Gear Solid, as well as in multiple sequels and cameo appearances in other franchises. Before Hideo Kojima, the creator of Metal Gear, decided to replace him with Kiefer Sutherland in 2015's Metal Gear Solid 5. After Kojima's split from Konami, the Japanese publisher released 2018's Metal Gear Survive to lukewarm reception from fans and critics. Until recently, the series has been dormant. So Konami, obviously, they put out the Metal Gear collection last week, week and a half. So David Hayter, he put out a tweet and he's like, "This is only the beginning," and he does like a little bit of material for them. So it seems like Konami is finally like waking up and just like, wait a second, guys, we have some real good IP here. Like let's make Metal Gear again.
This news, the only reason this news isn't exciting is because Konami's going to be making Metal Gear game, and it's not going to be Kojima. We don't know what that looks like. So until we know what that looks like, can't really be excited by this. You know what I mean?
Well, see, I would disagree to an extent. I think that bringing back David Hayter is definitely a step in the right direction. It shows that you're at least conscious of what the fans want.
Yes.
And like, no,
just
granted,
a voice.
I'm
you
not
got like gameplay, like you have the whole game behind.
For sure, and I'm not sitting here saying like, oh man, Metal Gear's back. We don't know that yet. We won't know that for probably years to come. But the fact that they at least have the consciousness to get David Hayter back on board, to me, that's a win. I'm gonna give them a win on that one. If I was a Metal Gear fan, like a real diehard Metal Gear fan, this news would excite me because it would show that like, hey, at least they're cognizant to what we want, to what we're looking for. So I gotta give the points where the points are. Doesn't mean the games are gonna be good. It's a good moment. We went up to Ty in the chat. He says these are remasters, so Kojima wouldn't be involved in terms of actual sequels to what we want. We'll see, but likely they will outsource it. And I think that's actually a good point as well. It's like it doesn't mean that Konami is gonna make these. It just means that Konami is gonna publish this game. Like I think the Metal Gear, Delta, Snake Eater Delta, the remake for 3, I don't think that's being developed in-house. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I don't think it's an in-house project. Moving right along. Number 3 on the headlines, we got an update this past week for Baldur's Gate 3's Xbox version. Larian Studios is still hard at work on the Xbox launch of Baldur's Gate 3, the company's CEO has revealed. In a recent short but sweet update published on Twitter, Sven Vink stressed that the Green Team's version of the game is still due to be released this year, and it's being actively playtested. And that's pretty much the update. He said it's being actively playtested, still on schedule for this year. We'll announce the exact release date when we're sure it's done. So a little bit of a rumor killer. You were even here when I said it on Sunday. Eurogamer reported the release date for the Xbox version of December 6th. So Sven Vink did come out and say that's not true. He's like, I don't know, that's news to me. Now, little win on Camp Rome is, so somebody said in a reply, it's like, hey, it would be really great physical copy of it for Xbox. And the response from Sven was, very reassuring. So
it makes sense to
it's
put
a big
that
win.
game. Yeah,
For sure. I mean, it makes sense for all games to have a physical copy, especially while consoles have disc drive. Yeah.
not really.
If it's a big budget game, yeah, it does.
Not really.
Ty says I was correct. The remake is being outsourced for Metal. Thank you, Ty. But no, really. Number 4 in the headlines.
Not really.
It's claimed. A prominent Resident Evil insider is claiming that Resident Evil 9, which has reportedly been in development since 2018, boasts the biggest budget in franchise history. It's supposedly a monumental title that will bring a close to the arc that has run since 2017 as Resident Evil 7 was released, which brought about a complete revision of the well-established Resident Evil formula. In a few messages shared on Discord, Dusk Golem, who is the insider in this case, revealed that Resident Evil 9 is costing Capcom a pretty penny, but that's because it's the most sizable game in the series ever. Despite being in development since 2018, it's reportedly not going to be released until 2025, so there's still a while to wait on it. Further to that, Golem stressed that the game won't be a direct sequel to Resident Evil Village, which was Resident Evil 8, but an all-new game that will still bring an end to the current split, ushering in a new generation of Resident Evil. In recent leaks, Resident Evil 9 will take place. It was suggested that Resident Evil 9 will take place in a ghost town in the West, and like Village, it'll feature a mythical creature. So this, to me, just sounds like they're making a world game.
It does sound like
which I don't know if I like that.
I mean, Resident Evil kind of has like, it might maybe not open world, but like open areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So like, it already has that. I think it could be open world the same way that the last Gears we played was open world.
Okay, that's fair.
So
yeah,
we have to wait and see. But it just sounds like that's the best way to go about a Resident Evil game, right? Like, that's already there. The formula's there. So
yeah, no, I get it. Ty in the chat says, I understand why Capcom would make this big budget. Resident Evil has been hitting along with the remake. They should be careful though. Big budgets do not always lead to massive sales. I agree with that actually.
But Resident Evil 8 sold really well, right? It did really well for them.
I believe it did, yeah. Village was pretty successful if I recall correctly. I mean, my thing is that and I have been saying it a lot this year, I feel like, and really just in games in general, is I feel like so many games nowadays are just trying to fit that open world, super big, like, scheme, and like it's just not necessary for some games.
I agree.
And I hope that they are not, when they're making this game, I hope that it doesn't.
The problem is it works really well for other companies and other games.
Yeah.
And they see it working well, so they're chasing a trend.
Yeah, which it's never a good thing.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is I just hope that they're not compromising the vision of what Resident Evil 9 could be. And for me, that's always the thing. Like, if you want to make an open world game and that's your vision and you have a plan, go for it. Make the games you want to make. We were talking about this with Starfield yesterday. Make the games you want to make. But like, hopefully, like, Resident Evil 9 isn't like, well, we had to make another one and everyone's making open world games, so here's an open world Resident.
Hey, real quick, what's the name of that horror game where you're kind of like a bunch of people running away from a monster? Is that called Dead by Daylight?
Yeah, that is a game, and it's one of those multiplayer games where you kind of are running away, kind of like Friday the 13th game style.
Okay, yeah, but that's more of like
that's asymmetric multiplayer.
Yeah.
So imagine Resident Evil did that, where you're choosing one of the Resident Evil characters that you would normally play as, and then you're running away from, say, like Nemesis or somebody on some smaller map. You know what I mean? Like, that could be pretty cool.
I think that would be really cool as a spin-off, not as like a main.
Yeah, like an extra thing on top of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool as its own game mode, like having a smaller map and someone's chasing you and you got to survive. I don't know if that would be cool as like.
It'd be a way for them to expand into the multiplayer. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess we have to wait and see because apparently the game's not coming out until 2025. Which is kind of crazy that they started working on the game before Village was even announced.
Watch them go straight battle royal.
That would be terrible. That would be such a... They did not read the room.
Yeah.
Resident Evil fans will be so upset if it's a battle royale.
Dude, imagine you get like Raccoon City and you got to fight your way through Raccoon City. Maybe make it more of an extraction. Got to get out of there.
I mean, I think there's definitely a place to do something like that in Resident Evil, absolutely. I mean, they've done stuff like that throughout the entire franchise's history, in little pieces. I don't know. Ty says, funny enough, they could do a two-pronged attack like Assassin's Creed. One open world, one corridor focus. They did something similar with Resident Evil Revelations on the DS. That's very true. They did do.
They did.
I'm a big fan of that, actually. Like, if you want to get behind a franchise enough, kind of like what they do with, I mean, kind of what they've done with Zelda, where it's like Breath of the Wild came out, and then they do the 2D Zelda with like Link's Awakening remake, and then Tears of the Kingdom. So like based off you would assume that the next Zelda game is going to be 2D. But yeah, I like that though. I like hey, like here's this franchise that can go well two different ways. Like let's do both. Why not? You want to make the game.
Yeah, I guess.
Like Assassin's Creed does the same thing, so
I kind of like it more where if they can do both at once. I think of Halo Infinite, where you had the open world stuff, but everyone's favorite part were the more corridor, like straight edge stuff. Like if you can do both in one game, I think that's
but I think at that point you want to try to not compromise either vision with the other. So it's like with Assassin's Creed, like I'm okay if they keep making the RPG Assassin's Creeds. Just make sure you give me like a traditional Assassin's Creed type game at the same time. Now, can the two bleed in together? Sure, they probably should because it's the same franchise. The same thing with like Zelda games, where it's like, yeah, I mean, 3D and 2D Zeldas in concept are the same type of game. They just work out completely differently based off 3D and 2D. Things like that. So I'm okay with them going two different routes. Why not? Number 5 on the headline. IO Interactive gives new details on its James Bond game, Project 007. IO Interactive, the team behind Hitman, is currently working on the new James Bond game, Project 007. Recently, Edge magazine was able to talk with the studio's CEO, Hakan Abran, about the upcoming game and learn more about what the studio is hoping to achieve. It said that the game is looking to be a more scripted experience than Hitman's freeform jaunts. It's been pitched as the ultimate spycraft fantasy, which suggests gadgets and perhaps a step away from the murderous objectives of Agent 47, according to the story. The game will be a third-person action with the original James Bond that isn't based on any of the movies or actors. However, the game will seemingly be closer to Daniel Craig than the Roger Moore of, I believe Roger Moore was the 90s James Bond? Project 007 isn't expected to be released until, once again, 2025 at the earliest, meaning there is still plenty of time for the change. Now, Dev, did you play the Hitman games?
I don't remember which one I played, but I played one of them.
Did you play one of the newer ones from IO?
I think so. I know that IO is an excellent developer.
They are. They really are.
Yeah, I have no doubts this game's. It sounds like they're going to use a lot of what they learned before, make it a more like focused experience. I don't know. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm all for playing like a James Bond game. I think that's going to be really cool, especially like a third person action game. Which again, I really like those games. So sounds like a win. Number 6 on the headlines. Grounded is getting a really cool new update that I wanted to share. So this comes from Xbox's official Xbox Newswire. By now, we've all exterminated our fair share of creepy crawlies Grounded, from hordes of aggravated soldier ants to the horrendous wolf spider, which no one truly wants to face more than once. We're well versed in these critters and landscapes that they inhabit, which begs the question, what if we could design and build our own critter habitat? Create new ways to fight them off, or even build new game experiences entirely. This is precisely what Grounded, Make It and Break It update allows you to do. With the brand new Playgrounds mode, you can craft your own levels from the ground up with a suite of design tools at your disposal. Using either pre-existing backyard or an empty sandbox as a starting point, you can craft buildings, place obstacles, furniture, and even creature spawns that'll drop enemies wherever you like them to be. You can create puzzles, minigames, battle arenas, whatever you can dream up. It's a brilliant new addition that will revitalize the backyard, and we were fortunate enough to get a sneak peek of the tools and chat with the Grounded team about this lovely, creative suite can be. And then the Xbox Wire kind of goes off into more details. We watched a video of this like right before we went live because I wanted to make sure I saw it. It seems like a really cool addition to this game. Where like I think even the trailer they were like making like they made like a basketball court. They were playing basketball on it, and they were like creating like dungeons, and it looks really cool. And Grounded's a game that's kind of been on my list for a while. This admittedly is not my type of thing, like the create a level thing, but I think it's a really cool thing to add to a game service, which we're going to talk about games of service a little later on. I think this is a smart way to add life to your games as a service. what is it, 3-4 years into release. I think that it's really smart, so I want to share it. Because I do say nice things about games as a service when I think it makes sense. That was the point.
Just based off the game. Grounded is a good game, despite how it makes its money. It's a good game.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's more of a Game Pass game. I don't know if it has microtransactions. So would it count as games as a service if it's just...
I played a little bit of it.
Yeah.
It's a survivor game. That's not really my kind of thing.
I don't mind the survival game, but I don't want to face it. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like
spiders all over the...
I know. That's why I haven't touched it. That's scarier than anything Resident Evil could throw my way. Giant spider? Yes. I don't want to do that. I'm good.
No, they make you afraid of them too.
Number 7 on the headlines. Fortnite, 2 weeks after Epic Games lays off 10% of its staff, Fortnite, it has more players than ever before. Their player count has skyrocketed as the game now has more concurrent players than ever before. As of 1:40 p.m. Eastern on November 3rd, there were over 5 million concurrent players in Fortnite. The previous record for concurrent players outside of a special event was only 2.8 million, meaning that there were over 2 million more players in the game at that time than according to Fortnite.gg's numbers. The boost in player count should come as too much of a surprise. The new season of Fortnite began on Friday, and it includes the original map from Chapter 1, along with classic weapons and items. As far as breakdown of those numbers, nearly 2.5 million are in traditional Battle Royale, while just under 500,000 are in the zero build mode. So do you think it was kind of premature for Epic to maybe lay off 10% of their staff? Or, I mean, they had to have known that this was going to be a big hit, right? Like bringing back the OG Fortnite map?
I guess. But I do think it's like we said before, a lot of companies did it. When COVID hit, a lot of hiring happened. Mm-hmm. And, all that it subsided. Everyone's going back to work now, and they're letting off all that extra weight that they put on. So it sucks. They had to have known dropping this. They probably didn't know how big it was going to be. Yeah. But they had to have known it was going to bump up numbers,
So, all I'm going to say is I hope Call of Duty sees this and they're like, hey, you know what? What if we bring back Blackout? Bring back that map. Just do it.
Maybe.
Why not? But no, I mean, it's cool to see Fortnite return to its original map. Nostalgia's funny like that. I mean, when was the first map? Like season 1? Like, can you remember when that was even?
I have no idea.
Ty says 38% of Xbox players were playing Fortnite. 33% of PlayStation users were playing during this period. Crazy numbers. Yeah, it was.
A third of both of the big companies are playing one game.
Yeah.
It's massive. Mm-hmm. I wish I liked Fortnite. You know what I mean?
See, I've always wanted to get when they announced zero build mode. That was something that I thought really spoke to me, but I just never. I just never jumped in.
Yeah. I just never jumped in.
Yeah,
and it was just.
I feel like I missed the boat.
Seriously though, no joke. The no build, try it. It's fun as hell.
Okay, I'll have to get around to it some point, someday. Who knows?
I think it's one of those games that aged out of us. It's like the first game the first really big game.
Like these young kids in their Fortnite.
Yeah, for real. I really feel that way.
If you have a favorite streamer, if you have a favorite streamer, just go watch.
Yeah, and then even having characters from other IPs in a game, I think that's completely awesome. I think that's
so cool. It's such a cool idea. Yeah. Except for when Jeff Keighley spoils it before the trailer.
Yeah,
it's like, hey guys, you like Transformers? Here you go. It's like, well, why not just let us watch the trailer?
Why did you do that?
Yeah, Jeff, why would you spoil your Fortnite trailer?
No, I think it's really cool. Well,
yeah. Speaking of games not doing well, The Last of Us multiplayer director said that he's still working on the project, and he did so in a very defensive way. So basically, he tweeted out that he finished Super Mario Wonder, and he said, this is from Vinit Agarwal. He says, I did it. Wow, that was hard. Easily 300 plus Marios dead in the process. And so this tweet can live on in peace. Yes, I'm still working on that.
He has to do that, Well,
that's why, again, he's like, I don't want to talk about Last of Us factions.
Yeah.
I just really liked Mario.
By the way, I'm still working on it.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm still working on it. Man, I just don't believe that game's ever going to come out.
I hope it does. A lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff makes it sound like it's going to be a really cool game, like concept wise.
Yeah,
So,
I like this art. See,
yeah,
like this, like when they first revealed this art, I'm like, yeah, it's a cool looking game, art, or at least a cool looking concept. But I just don't have any faith this game ever comes out. I think it's also a bad look that like Naughty Dog is being I said this last week, but do you think it's kind of weird that Bungie? We're going to talk about Bungie and the shortcomings of Destiny 2 and all that, and coming up. But do you think it's kind of weird in hindsight that a successful studio like Naughty Dog was having its direction dictated by a developer in Bungie that had to lay off 100 of their staff, that like cites that they're not doing well in the category that PlayStation is using them to help their other first party studios? Do you think that's kind of, I mean, I guess hindsight's 2020, but do you think that was kind of probably a bad call from PlayStation? To be like, hey, you're Naughty Dog, you make this, but we're going to bring in Bungie and they're going to tell you how to make it. And now Bungie's clearly struggling.
No, I don't think so. What I do think is a bad call is how hard they doubled down on it. Like,
I agree.
Them saying, "Hey, we're gonna have 22 live service games or whatever it was in the beginning." I think that's a big ask. But to ask Naughty Dog, who usually does single player, to hey do this multiplayer thing, only reason I don't think so is because they did a multiplayer thing before with The Last of Us. It was good, but it was too small. It was a smaller project.
And I like the factions multiplayer.
Yeah, and I think they saw the potential in it. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it a real thing. And I think they needed the help of people from Bungie. Bungie's already been doing it, so I don't think specifically with Naughty Dog and Bungie. No.
Yeah. Ty says that a factions game with co-op and multiplayer elements with a story-driven narrative sounds dope. Yeah. I'm happy to see he's still working.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I hope it turns out good.
I never played factions. I watched our friend Ivan.
Yeah, I remember Ivan.
Yeah. I watched him play it a little bit.
I always thought
it looked like it was a really cool concept. It just looked like it was really small and like.
So I liked it. I always thought it was very unforgiving because you had to be really good. Because it's like, so you would. I remember that it took your Facebook friends list, and it took the names of the people in your friends list, and they became
like
people on your side. So like if you won games, your people would be fine and they would prosper. But if you would lose games,
that's actually really cool.
Your friends would die. So like you died, I think once. Like you definitely died because like I was on a roll and I was doing really good, and I played for like 2 days straight on. And like the first day I was like killing it. Everyone's doing great. Everyone's happy. We're leveling up, and I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah. And I started losing games. It's like Forrest died, and I'm like, no, Ivan died. Devroro died. Austin died. Like, this is terrible. But I would like to see something like that. And again, I want it to be good. I don't think this game ever. I will be very surprised. Last of Us multiplayer game ever comes.
I think it's one of those games that are suffering mostly from announcing too early.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they had nothing to show but that art piece. They were like, hey, here's some concept art.
I think the game wasn't even started when they did that,
I think it was started. I just don't think it's gone anywhere. Ty says, Naughty Dog, great at making story-driven games. They are not a multiplayer live service focused developer. No. You don't get a pass to make a whole new genre just because you succeeded in another genre. I agree. Number 9 on the headlines. Some really interesting news that came out today. So PlayStation announced that starting November 13th, the PS5 and PS4 will be dropping Twitter integration on the console. Now, this is something that Xbox has already done, dropped integration. Now, Devroro, you're probably asking, why did PlayStation and Xbox already, but more so PlayStation, do this?
I mean, no, I'm not, but go ahead.
It's because of the API charges that Elon Musk was charging these bigger companies. So, Microsoft and Sony ditched Twitter integration, and if you look on here, these are the API access tiers. Basically, for a larger company, you need the Enterprise, which this is for big platforms that use the Twitter API significantly, and so it's the cost. While the price for the Twitter Enterprise API is not listed on Twitter's website, we were able to confirm that it starts at $42,000 a month. So $500,000 just to be able to let your users post to Twitter.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, so Microsoft and Sony were like, how about no?
As trash as Twitter is, there's like, I mean, I get it helps a lot of people. You use it like there's a lot of uses, and you're on it right now. You know what I mean?
Before Elon bought Twitter,
it was still trash.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's Twitter,
always
no. It's definitely gone downhill a lot since he's gotten it. But Twitter's always been
See, I would push back. I think Twitter was a public space with people, and like, yeah, like obviously people are shit. Like, no, yeah, obviously.
It always felt like with Twitter,
All I could say is that before Elon Musk bought Twitter, Twitter worked for me. I had no bot, like, well, very little bots. I have more bots now than I did back then. Um, like, and like, I got everything I needed, and people tweeted. Everyone that I cared about hearing from were on the platform. Now it's like some people don't want to be on Twitter, so they're not on Twitter. The app is buggy as hell. It is actually a major pain in the ass for me to keep up with video game news as opposed to what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I actually have started. I have a tab on my phone where it's like direct Chrome browser to like VGC, Insider Gaming, IGN, et cetera, Game Informer, where it's just like, and like, which sucks because I'm skipping over the discourse that I like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it sucks, but I can't blame Microsoft and Sony for like not wanting to be a part of this platform and not wanting to pay $500,000 a year for this platform.
I think there are other places like I think Reddit is a good alternative.
Reddit's good. I think some Reddit users are unhappy with Reddit. I remember.
I mean, that sounds like Reddit. And then hopefully Threads. We don't know where Threads will go, but
yeah, like I have a Threads account. I mean, it's if it takes off, I'll be there.
Yeah,
but for now,
it is what it is.
Until Twitter dies officially, like I guess I'm gonna stay on there.
Yeah.
Very, very upsetting. Very
no X on your Xbox.
If you put Twitter in a box, is that an Xbox? Number 10. This one, like, it wasn't really news, but I thought it was actually kind of a funny little story, so I decided to keep it in. So earlier last week, it came out that Microsoft. So if you work at Microsoft, you have a perk to the job. Obviously, there's a lot of benefits to working for a company, but one of the perks was that you would get free Xbox Game Pass.
Nice.
That's a really nice perk for working at a company.
Yeah.
Well, it came out earlier last week that Microsoft, not Xbox employees, but Microsoft employees were going to lose access to Game Pass. So a lot of the employees were really upset because they use the Game Pass. They love Game Pass. They love the Xbox brand. And so they actually reached out to Phil Spencer, who had no idea about this. So this was a decision that was made on like the Microsoft, probably the HR department was like, we're going to cut this. But so Phil was very confused. And so after a few days of him looking into the situation, he put out this statement to Microsoft employees. He said, after looking into this more with the team, I just want to confirm that no change will be made to Game Pass availability in 2024. If you have access to the Game Pass offer today, you will continue to have access. I appreciate the time to get up to speed and sorry for the question and confusion created. And thank you for supporting Xbox. So I thought that was kind of cool that Phil kind of jumped in and was like...
I saw the numbers, so it looked like Microsoft saw that there was 240,000 people who weren't paying for Game Pass.
Yeah, I think that was... And again, it's that disconnect. And Phil Spencer, he's a smart man because Phil Spencer understands what I always say here, that perception's very important. So, like, granted, when this news story came out, does it affect us? Not at all. But when the news story came out, people were like, that's kind of shitty. Why can't Microsoft employees get Game Pass? Phil was like, wait a second. What's going on? He sent an email to HR. I was like, you better give these fuckers their Game Pass for free.
Yeah, that's a huge tax write-off. Whoever overlooked that, he was like, are you stupid?
That too. Yes, that too, absolutely. But kudos to them. I would love to have free Game Pass. That would be so great. I would be so happy. I wish my employer offered free Pass.
You gotta be janitors at
Microsoft just to get... I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Just to get free Game Pass.
Yeah.
Man. Number 11. Speaking of working at a company, Devroro. Another week, another round of layoffs at an Embracer-owned studio. This time, Cryptic Studios, the developer behind Star Trek Online and Neverwinter. The company, or the developer Cryptic, was founded in the year 2000, acquired by Embracer in December of 2021. Since then, the company has primarily been responsible for maintaining and updating Neverwinter. Unfortunately, I'm here to report that there are a lot of amazing people from Cryptic Studios who are joining the list today. Lead environment artist Scott Boyd posted on his LinkedIn. So many of the best people I know were let go from Cryptic Studios. So just another layoff. However, there is another piece of news from Embracer. Pretty big news. Embracer's COO confirmed today his departure following rough year for the games giant. Eagle Strunk shared the news on Monday and claimed he'd left the holding company, which owns many developers such as Gearbox and Crystal Dynamics last week. In June, Embracer announced the appointment of an interim COO, which would be filled by Saber Interactive boss Matthew Karch. The COO is typically second in command, reporting to CEO, handles the daily business operations of a company. Quote, last week I left Embracer Group as COO, and it's with mixed feelings I am parting ways with this global company phenomenon. Excuse me. Rooted in Carlton, Sweden, Strunk wrote on Monday. On one hand, I'm grateful for having the chance to work with one-of-a-kind CEO, Lars Wingfors, and all the other amazing colleagues, too many to mention, which I will be sad to leave. So Embracer is just continuing to not do well. So I personally really kind of hope, not just Microsoft, but I mean, obviously Microsoft is the company that's willing to do this. I would love to see Microsoft move in and save Crystal Dynamics. I think that they are such a talented developer that I really hope they don't get shut down.
Wasn't Crystal Dynamics?
They did the Tomb Raider games,
but they're currently helping.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping Microsoft steps in because they're working on Perfect Dark.
I hope someone also gets Gearbox. I don't care who.
Oh no, I agree with Gearbox, that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Gearbox is a great developer. You definitely want to try to get them. Now they've tried self-publishing, I think, a few times. Maybe they kind of go independent. Yeah. I don't know, but
I don't know if they have that. We'll see.
Yeah. So that's Embracer. I'm sure next week we'll have another.
Is Embracer? I mean,
Embracer was the group that was the Saudi, the $3 billion fell through.
I'm wondering if, I mean, even Tencent, I'd be okay with that.
Oh, not Tencent.
Like, I just don't want these studios to die.
I don't either, but not Tencent. Tencent has enough.
Yeah, I know.
Reaches in the games industry. I don't need them owning it. All right, moving on. Well, Devroro, you're finally getting your wish. Jobs are being lost. Microsoft announced that AI is coming to Xbox. AI is set to come into your Xbox as Microsoft has announced a new partnership with in-world AI to create a tool to build characters, stories, and more via AI. First reported by The Verge today, the new tool will allow AI to be used for creating scripts for characters, as well as character engines to be used to dynamically generate stories, quests, and dialogue. At Xbox, we believe that with better tools, creators can make even more extraordinary games, Haiyan Zhang, general manager of gaming AI at Xbox, said via The Verge. The partnership will bring together in-world's expertise in working with generative AI models for character development, Microsoft's cutting-edge cloud-based AI solutions, including Azure OpenAI Service, Microsoft Research technical insights in the future of play, and Team Xbox's strengths in revolutionizing accessible and responsible creator tools for all developers. The new tool will be offered as an optional add-on for developers. This will give the studios the choice of whether to include generative AI in their games or to stick with the usual ways of creating. In-world AI CEO Ilya Gelfenben says AI has long been an integral part of game development. Utilizing its abilities more will only help create better games, he added. The emergence of large language models and generative AI has unlocked new opportunities for storytelling and character engagement within games. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it says it right there.
There you go. You heard it here first.
AI is powerful.
Devroro's okay with people losing jobs. Let the AI write all the stories for them.
I'm just okay with the advancement of technology. That's all.
Listen, I've read a whole bunch of stories that AI has created, and they are trash. I'm not too worried about the story part.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not worried about. But again, it's a tool. It's not like in the right hands, you can use that. Whether it's storytelling, voice, character creation, whatever it is, in the right hands, you can use it to make a great story. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. It's a tool. You hand somebody a box of paint, and I can paint a sunflower maybe, but like. Just a tool. It's just a tool that someone with great talent can use to make a better game, and it's cheaper.
I agree with that.
The three of us could make a video game using AI tools When before we'd have to model the character,
Yeah,
and like voice the character, and then hire voice actors. It's a no-brainer. I don't understand why.
Do you want to make a video game?
I don't want to know.
We could just tell the AI to make it for us and take the credit.
It's more than just that, though.
Well, we just put it in the prompts. Be like, hey, let's have a game where you shoot people with guns.
Okay,
And,
we'll
like,
do
there's
that.
explosions.
And again, like I said, if you put it into the hands of people who are smarter and better than us, people with talent, you can make a great game. I don't understand how it's a tool. It's a powerful tool. How do you not see that people are going to use it and people are going to lose their jobs? Have you guys ever used an Uber before?
Uber? Like once.
Once. You know how that put taxi drivers out of jobs?
Yeah, I know. My dad was a taxi driver.
Yeah, did he lose his job because of Uber?
He lost a lot of business.
Wow, you're kind of a hypocrite. Your dad lost a lot of business, and then you go to the enemy's competition. I mean, again, it's a tool. It got you from point A to point B. Again,
no, I didn't.
You guys use Netflix, right? That put Blockbuster out of business. You don't use it now, but you had it before.
No.
Yeah.
Jackie had it, but I didn't.
Oh, Jackie had it. You guys are married, so you guys both, it counts as you.
Well, she had it before we were married.
Anyway, again, if you don't stay up with the times of technology, you fall behind.
I agree. I'm just saying.
And people are going to lose their jobs because that's what happens when.
Ty knows. How do you not know me at this point? Ty gets it.
Ty, you don't have to deal with this every week, multiple times a week, Ty, okay? I have to deal with this.
No, I mean, yeah, you are right. It's a tool. It's a tool. I just love to look.
I'm just saying it's gonna happen.
Everyone should know. I'm a guy of bits. I love bits, and Dev's Dev's mad. He's so mad. No, I agree. I really do think that it makes sense. About it makes sense to use it as a tool. Like, I don't think that that's not the case. It's just, I just want them to be cautious. I
agree. And again, they're gonna put it out in the world, and anyone's gonna use it, and they're gonna get so much trash. We're gonna get a lot of trash stuff.
Right.
But it's
yeah. I don't know. Moving right along. We got a follow-up. So last week you weren't here. But we did a follow-up to... This is a follow-up story from last week about the finals, which was that game. Did you watch the Xbox showcase that was 2 weeks ago?
No. I breezed through it and it didn't look...
Okay, so whatever. The finals was shown off during the game. Or during the showcase.
And what is it, a racing?
No, it's a multiplayer shooter. Seems it like... Jeff...
the final.
Jeff, you would say it's an arena shooter, right? Is it?
It's the one that's based on... Oh, okay. I know what story this is. I was just looking this up because this kind of coincides with what we just
said. So last
said.
week we reported that this game was like a huge hit. That it showed off at the Xbox showcase. The beta took off. And we now know that the finals had 7.5 million players for its open beta. The finals open beta has now ended, and Embark Studios is touting the beta's success. According to a post made on social media on Monday morning, the finals open beta saw 7.5 million players join the game at some point. An unforgettable week for us. A whopping 7.5 million contestants entered the arena, the studio posted. Now it's time for us to hunker down and get back to work on all the fixes and improvements you helped us identify. According to Steam charts, the game saw a peak of 264,874 concurrent players on the platform during the beta. There are no numbers for console, but it should be assumed that the peak numbers were higher on those platforms. So yeah, I mean, I thought that the finals looked really awesome in concept when they showed it off. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased to see this game kind of taken off. I definitely might give it a shot. I think it's coming to Game Pass too.
Keep reading there, Rome.
Yeah, I want you to read this part because this is what I thought you were going to talk about because it coincides with what we just went over.
Oh, for sure. So it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows during the open beta for the finals and Embark Studios. The company did face backlash for admitting to using AI for voiceovers in the game. I was getting that. I was trying to give Dev a moment before we got back into the AI stuff. The finals is a free-to-play first-person shooter that will be available on PC via Steam, Xbox Series, PS5. So, Devroro, are you upset that the company used AI voices?
No, I mean 7.5 million people played it and they liked it.
Yeah.
They probably didn't have to spend a lot for voice actors.
Oh, so did you actually hear about what happened with Assassin's Creed? No. So Ubisoft people got mad at Ubisoft because, and I guess this is related. So it is related. So Ubisoft used AI to create Assassin's Creed artwork,
Okay.
And people were like, they got mad. They basically got mad that they used AI to create Assassin's Creed artwork. It's like, you have artists working on the game. Why don't you just use their work?
Yeah, for me that's a little different only because, like you said, they have the artist.
I agree. No,
they had the concept art and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I guess it's cool. Like, I don't know. As long as they're not selling it, it's cool to go ahead and make it, put it out to the world. Don't sell it anywhere. As long as you're not making money off of it, I guess it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
You can't build a game. You still need artists. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I get smaller games using AI to help with as a tool. I do understand.
And you can use your artist art and feed it to the AI and say, make more of this for me, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. Ty says, this is such a joke. The entitlement of these people and actors, of these actors and people to demand companies should not use AI. Why are consumers so stupid?
Like the thing is, I do get the outrage. You know, like, this is your job, and it's being replaced by a machine that does it, you know, more efficiently and better than you do. You know what I mean? It does suck. It does suck for models. It sucks for actors. It sucks, but it's just like, it's not that I'm pro AI. It's just I can see it coming, and there's no use fighting it. It's not that there's no use fighting it. It's a really hard thing to fight.
I get that, and I think for me, like, all jokes aside, because, you know, obviously sometimes I do like.
I know you like fanning the flames.
I do like. I think it creates good.
Yeah.
I think the AI as a tool makes a lot of sense. My issue is more so when it completely replaces it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can understand a smaller studio needing a voice actor, and they just can't afford the right voice actor for the job. So leaning into AI to make that happen. I can understand that. I can sympathize with it. But like, it comes down to when the Ubisofts of the world, the EAs of the world, like, when they start using it to replace jobs and save money, but still release games at the same price, like, I'm not okay with that. That's where my line, in all seriousness, is like, well, that's shitty. Like, I'm okay with the AI being a tool, like you said, but I don't think it should come at compromise of the person that's using it. That's just. All right, let's move on to our last news headline of the week. So BlizzCon was this past week, and I should have gotten something together for that, but it showed a bunch of updates for like WoW and Warcraft, and the Diablo, the next season of Diablo, and the next update for that. But during BlizzCon, Ty says, Rome, does it really matter if you can't distinguish AI from a real artist? Why does UB have to care if you don't see the difference? That's a fair question. I think that it just comes down to, like, a preference for me is like, I want people to make the games. Like, I want artistic value. Like, I think if you just put AI into making games, I think even if the AI can replicate it, I think it kind of loses something artistic about it. I look at video games as an art form. That's just how I look at them.
But I was going to say that.
And for me, it's not just about it being a product. Like, here's the thing. Like me, I love video games. They're my passion. And so, like, I do look at games from every, like, outlet, like, as a consumer, as a customer, as someone who plays them. Like, I try to look at it from every single level. So I can understand if you were looking at video games as strictly a product, just something that, like, you give currency, you get a product, and that product entertains you for how X amount of hours. If that's all you're looking at, then, like, I can understand you just being like, you know what? Maybe it's okay if AI is, if you can't tell the difference, why does it matter? But for me at that point, like, I also look at it as an artistic level where it's like, I don't want an AI to just spit out a video game.
No.
Like, I want people to to express themselves and make something.
But that's what I'm saying.
And share it with people who want to experience it.
And you can do that with AI. Just because a game is 4K and 60 frames per second doesn't make it good either. You know what I mean? Everyone wants a game that's 4K and 60 frames per second. That doesn't make a great game. A great game is all the other stuff in between.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild fucking chugs on Mount Sayori. Yeah, it's still great.
Yeah, so I think it's just like AI is not going to make a game great or bad. It's
so I think Ty puts it really well, and I definitely agree. I think this is the thing. Ty says that he thinks that for me, AI takes the art away, so therefore AI takes the soul away. And I think that that's a great way to put it. I actually really love that. That's extremely well said.
All right.
What's up to the Doge? He says there is something to be said about the human touch, though, like a good pat on Doge.
The thing is, you can have. It's not like AI and computer generation hasn't been in video games. Always been in video games for at least our lifetime. You know what I mean?
And that's why I admit that I'm okay with it being used as a tool.
Yeah.
But I want someone to be looking at it and being like, this matches my artistic vision.
I
This
agree.
is what I want to have happen.
Yeah.
And like artistic vision can be for anything. It could be for something even like a Call of Duty shooter. Like again, like I want the artist's interpretation. Like when I think like again, just to kind of paint a broad picture, like when Infinity Ward for the original Modern Warfare 2, when they had the balls to do the no Russian, like that was ballsy, and that took like some real artistic value where it's like, man, that is a really edgy thing to do. Like I don't know if an AI would just spit that out.
No.
Like you need someone there to like be making these moments in games that mean something.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. I think it's like there's a human touch there that like I'm okay with it being used as a tool, but let's try to leave it as a tool.
I don't know what that means.
It means have people still making the games and just like oh man, like we need like we just need to use the AI for something.
It's not like you go to AI and you type in ocean and now there's an ocean in your video game.
No, I get that, but
like there's still an artistic touch to it. Like you know, it's and you're gonna get the bad games. You're gonna get way more bad games than you get good games. That's always been the thing. Like if you go on Steam, you can look at games that people just throw stuff together and you can buy it and
yes,
it's trash games. Like
yeah, and again, like but like that's how art works. Is like there are people who are just trying to make a quick buck and
that's what I'm saying.
Throw an asset flip in there and that's
the good people rise. The good stuff rise to the top. Ideally, you won't even be able to tell which game used AI unless the developers come out and say so.
Right. I get what you're saying. And
I do think it's okay for bigger studios. Starfield has how many chat lines in it? Like it's insane how many it has.
It's a lot for sure.
It's a crazy amount.
But Bethesda has the budget where I expect them to hire voice actors and do this.
But why not? If they have that budget, why not put that into something else? If you can already, we talked about a lot of the stuff in the game that was kind of underbaked. We talked about it a little bit, and I'm sure you'll go more into it when you do your full review.
Yeah.
But it's like if you can spend more time on that, if like, hey, we saw this issue, we need to spend more time and money on that. Taking away time and money from another resource. I mean, you know what I mean?
So here's an example of how I'm okay with like AI being used as a tool. Like so Starfield. Very, very minor spoiler of a very random side thing that you might not even run into. So in Starfield, you come across like this old satellite from Earth. And you get on the satellite and there's a computer on the satellite that speaks, an AI that speaks to you. I'm not going to say what it says. I'm not going to talk about any of that. But you're talking to this AI. And like that would be a place where I'd be okay with them. Like, well, this is an AI in the game. So let's have an AI create this script and perform this script. I think that would be a cool use of AI. Like things like that, like should like help it complement your game.
To me, that's very small.
Oh, it is very small. That's an example. It's a small micro example. Well, like I think things like that make sense. But that's just me. I don't know.
I don't.
But let's get back to the final news headline. So Blizzard's boss expects the studio to feel more independent than before now that it's under Xbox. During BlizzCon, President of Blizzard, Mike Ibarra, said that he thinks Blizzard will be afforded more freedom than previously has been the case. Quote, I think the way Phil Spencer approaches the building teams and focusing on culture and enabling creative freedom is going to give Blizzard a lot more of that sense of being an independent studio than ever before. That's what I really mean when I talk about the new era of possibilities, of empowerment, of serving players even better than we ever have. Ibarra joined Blizzard back in 2019, following almost 20 years at Microsoft. Microsoft's head of gaming, Phil Spencer, recently visited Blizzard with Xbox's leadership team to meet employees, proclaimed the future of Blizzard is brighter than ever during last week's fan convention. So that was another thing you missed last week, is Phil Spencer actually went out to Blizzard, and it was really cool to see, like, a lot of the stuff that was talked about was there was a very noticeable separation between Activision and Blizzard. Like, when they went to Blizzard, they were like, we're not here at Activision Blizzard. We're here at Blizzard. And it was funny because I was talking to Jeff about it, because Jeff obviously he's been a collapsed Blizzard fan. And I see a lot of promise for Blizzard and just being under the Xbox banner, where it's just like, let them make their games. Let them make the Warcrafts, Starcrafts, and Overwatches. I just think it's a great move for them. And I think Mikey Barra is kind of right on that. The Xbox is going to let them, do them. I think that's really
I
exciting.
think they should, but Blizzard makes really good games, and
They do.
they're very, I don't want to say niche, but like they're really good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you should just let them. I think you should control it in the way that you should, as you hold it. But like, have them go back and make new. Have them make something Halo related. Give them IPs that available IPs, and just let.
I could totally see them make the next Halo Wars.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
If Halo Wars was as big as StarCraft, then that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. All right. That's the news headlines for the week. Let's get into the video game releases for this week, the week of November 6th. First up, out today, The Invincible comes to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC tomorrow on the 7th. Salt and Sacrifice makes its way to Switch on the 7th. Risk of Rain returns, Switch and PC on the 8th. 9 Years of Shadows comes to Switch on November 9th. Berserk Recharged comes to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on November 9th. Like a Dragon Gaiden. Gaiden? It's Gaiden.
Yeah, Gaiden.
Yeah, Gaiden. Like a Dragon Gaiden. The Man Who Erased His Name comes to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC on November 9th. You know why I always get that mixed up is because I used to watch Eagle Raptor, and he had the Awesome series. It was like a really funny thing, and he did Ninja Gaiden, and he just pronounces it wrong the entire video. I think he really actually messed me up for life. It's like, is that dude from Ninja Gaiden? Like, it totally funny. I'm talking about 15 videos. Actually. And then lastly, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC on November 10th. So Dev, do you have a pick for the week?
Oh, Nickelodeon All Stars. I think the first one did okay.
Mm-hmm.
It did way better than
people anticipated.
And I think if they doubled down on a lot of the stuff that people wanted, why do you not have the theme songs? You don't have none of the music from your IP in this game. None of the voice acting. I think hopefully if that's what's in there, new other characters. I don't know. It'd be cool to have something that actually can compete with Brawl or Smash in general. Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah, I agree. Producer Jeff, do you have a pick for the week?
I guess the Nickelodeon thing. Nothing actually jumps out at me, especially not Call of Duty.
Well, so for me, I am going to pick Call of Duty. Because I am excited to get back on those OG MW2 maps. Is it nostalgia based? It absolutely is nostalgia based. But they absolutely are. And you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm like Morty. Like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Hey, let's turn DLC into some of your other games.
I mean, to be fair, they were gonna sell it as a $70 expansion. I mean,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were like, this is the full price. So it's like all they really did was change the name of the game and act like it's different.
You play as handsome Squidward in this.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny how like the meme culture gets embraced by, because what's it called? Multiverse did the same thing with like with Shaggy, where like Shaggy
he
was like Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Ultra Instinct.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, right.
No, I do think that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're playing Call of Duty on Xbox, right, Rome?
Yep, I actually pre-ordered it today.
Hey, be careful in chat now, man. You get banned for almost nothing for just talking in chat.
I mean, I'm usually in party chat anyway. Like I said, for me, I'm buying it more so for the social experience of playing with friends. And the thing is that for like the last like 4-5 Call of Duties, like you get kicked out of a lobby right after a game anyway, so you don't really make friends anymore. Call of Duty, it's kind of lame because like it used to be like, hey, you play a few games with a few people, you kind of feel like the chemistry clicking. Like, hey, well, you want to squad up? Like, we're doing good, and then you make friends.
God. It's the Angry Beavers.
Yeah, Angry Beavers. I think Danny Phantom is in this one too.
Dude, I loved that show so much as a kid.
Pinky and the Brain might be.
Damn, Squidward just got fucked up.
Yeah.
Funny. Wait, who has the donut?
Wow,
is the donut
Garfield, Avatar? What?
It could be like, like 100 Man thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Avatar is in it. Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, that's my pick for the week. Call of Duty. But that looks really good too. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Smash Brothers. So, game style. Do you consider that a fighting game?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. A lot of people don't think Smash Brothers or that style is a fighting game. I think it is. I think
it's a traditional, like,
right,
1v1 side-scrolling fighting game. But I do think
it is. A lot of people think
you're 100% fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. The other argument is that people say it's a party game, not a fighting game.
It's both.
What?
Be both.
What are the characters doing? They're literally fighting. Like, you can't. Or
Look, I'm on the fighting side of the fence. I agree.
Was it you?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was you or Forrest that had this argument, but I said Sifu is a fighting game as well. Because I consider Sifu a fighting game. You just go from.
I don't. I consider it an action. It was you and me. We had this.
Okay.
Maybe Forrest agrees with me. I don't know.
I think it's both because you do go from like section to section.
I consider it an action. I don't
Fighting
consider it
game.
a fighting game. Like you throw punches in it, but like it's not the same.
But it's very technical. If it was like a
I still consider it an
button
action.
smashing game, I would say yeah, that's definitely action. But it's a technical fighting game.
I just disagree. Which is fine. I think it's an action.
Once skill and like technicality comes in it, and you're not button mashing.
So you're saying action games don't take any skill?
Action games
like
not
Devil
really.
May Cry and Bayonetta, those are action games. They have combos.
Those are button.
They have
mashing.
combos, but they have combos.
The combos are smash A 3 times and then smash X. That's and the enemy can't do anything about it. That's not a fighting game.
Anyways, let's get into the topic of the show. So Bungie. So Ty comes in with the correct comment of Sifu is a beat 'em up, which is an action. That's not a fighting game.
Beat 'em up fighting game.
No, Battletoads is not a fighting game.
Battletoads is not Sifu.
It's a beat 'em up.
Yeah, Battletoads is not Sifu.
Battletoads is a beat 'em up.
Yeah,
as is Sifu.
No,
they're
it's
both
not.
beat 'em up. Ty just said they're a beat 'em up.
You're like, oh, another game is this genre, so this like.
No, it's a beat 'em up. Action game probably fits it more, but sure, maybe you can call it a fighting.
I did. It's a fighting.
He's just giving you like a little bit of a like. Yeah,
there's
sure.
technicality in it.
It's a fighting.
You're
game.
not button mashing, so it's a in fighting games. If you can button mash and win, that's not a fighting game.
It's an action.
I agree. And in Sifu, you can't just button mash and yeah. So you agree with me?
No, it's
you
an
agree
action
with me.
game.
No, you just agreed with me.
I said it's an action game. So Bungie laid off a lot of.
Yeah.
And so when we were talking about this last week, because again you weren't here. Originally, it seemed like it was a lot of people in like the accounting side of the department, and Jeff made a point that perhaps they were just letting people go because they were getting ready for their next, their next project. However, we know a little bit more about it, and so I have like 3 different sources that kind of came with different information. Some of it may bleed over, but I'm just gonna kind of run through everything so we can kind of get all the information.
I've only heard one thing, and you'll probably talk about it. But.
Probably. So first, we're gonna go to IGN's reporting. And that was the Bungie CEO claims layoffs were due to Destiny 2 underperformance. In an internal town hall meeting addressing last Monday's round of layoffs that impacted multiple departments, Bungie CEO Pete Parsons allegedly told remaining employees that the company had kept, quote, the right people to work on Destiny 2. Speaking to multiple current and recently laid off employees, IGN has confirmed reports that Bungie took responsibility for the layoffs, rather than laying them at the feet of parent company Sony. Parsons told employees that the layoffs were largely due to underperformance of Destiny 2 over the last year, as well as lower than expected pre-orders for upcoming expansion Final Shape. IGN can now independently confirm reports that the Final Shape has been delayed to June of 2024, and that Marathon has been internally delayed to 2025, after having been in development since 2019. Employees were also told that Destiny 2 player sentiment was at an all-time low. Sources tell IGN that this issue had been flagged to leadership repeatedly for months prior to the layoff, with employees begging for necessary changes to win players back. One former Bungie employee recalled that they were repeatedly assured following the 2022 Sony acquisition that there would be no layoff, and cited an item from a Sony quarterly report that claimed $1.2 billion of the $4 billion acquisition was going explicitly towards staff retention. Multiple employees confirmed that money was distributed to employees who were fully vested, with money split into multiple payments over time, varying based on discipline and seniority. Other employees also told IGN that they felt frustrated by the layoffs, given that the company had completed work on a brand new headquarters, more than double the size of its previous office, and likely a pricey upgrade in Bellevue, Washington. Parsons was criticized in some quarters for calling layoffs a sad day at Bungie in a tweet that is as follows. Today is a sad day at Bungie as we say goodbye to colleagues who have made a significant impact on our studio. What these exceptional individuals have contributed to our game and Bungie culture have been enormous and will continue to be a part of Bungie long into the future. So Dev, I wanted to take a quick pause, kind of get your take on, so number one, Sony said that there's documentation that Sony had laid aside $1.2 billion to help retain Bungie staff. couple that with the fact that they just made a brand new headquarters, double the size.
Sony put that to the side, or Bungie?
Sony put that. Well, yeah. So a Sony quarterly report. So Sony laid $1.2 billion aside, so that way they help retain all the staff of Bungie, and that was in 2022. So last year. And then couple that with the new headquarters, which is double the size of their previous one. Does this strike you as kind of like an unnecessary move, or like where are you at even in general? Like, react to the news, because you weren't here last week.
I mean, it sucks for the people that lost their jobs. It doesn't sound like, it's confusing to me, because to make a studio double the size, you kind of, there has to be something in that. Maybe they expect growth somewhere, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then to lay off people, I don't know. Who knows?
So the exact number of those impacted is still nebulous at the time of this writing of this article, though some sources we spoke to suggested roughly around 100 employees. IGN has now heard that layoffs impacted the community team, art, engineering, recruiting, legal, audio, QA, creative studios, and IT, with impacts across both Destiny 2 and Marathon teams, and including multiple members of the company's diversity committee and accessibility club. Those impacted are receiving a minimum of 3 months of severance and Cobra health benefits, though other company benefits terminated immediately. So let's jump over to Insider Gaming's reporting. About 24 hours after the layoffs, Paul Tassi, I guess it was actually more so Forbes, but according to what Tassi was told by a source, it was Bungie's decision to let the employees go, not Sony's. Employee benefits would only last until the end of the month, they were told. But the layoffs happened on October 30th. So employees only had like health care like
For 1 day?
For 1 day. So they laid people off on October 30th, and those employees who were laid off only had their health benefits for 1 day. Tassi also says that many of the employees had shares that were unvested from the purchase of the company by Sony. They now stand to lose them despite being fired, as opposed to leaving on their own accord. He did clarify, however, that the health insurance will last as long as employee severance does. So if any of the employees did get severance, they'll still get the health benefits. But many of the employees, they only got the... These shares had received based on staying with the company for a certain number of years following the sale, Tassi said. But those shares revert back to Bungie if you leave, even if you're fired, which is what's happening now to those who are affected. One employee who is still with the company but spoke on the condition of, anonymity, said that they were blindsided by what happened, and that the way people were let go was without any respect or appreciation of the work they've done there. The only comment on the layoffs came on Monday from CEO Pete Parsons, which we already talked about. And then lastly, so that was Paul Tassi from Forbes, but this was like a second, like a part 2 that he did. And they kind of bullet point this out for us. So management said other levels were looked into to avoid layoff. When employees asked if one lever was executive compensation, they were told no, and that it would not happen at the company. Post-publication of the article, Bungie responded to them saying that CEO Pete Parsons and some other executives did forfeit annual bonuses before the layoffs, but staff was not informed of this. The sum of the total of the bonuses was also not given. Internally, no one's blaming Sony, which we talked about. Some employees were told that if Sony buyout did not happen, current Destiny 2 performance would have left the studio in jeopardy if they had still been in.
And it's kind of weird, because I thought Destiny 2 was doing really well, especially with their last season, the previous season they just came out with, and like the anticipation of the last season, I guess.
The next season.
Yeah, the next season, which is called like the last something.
Yeah, we just said it.
Yeah.
I just forget what it was.
It just sounds like from the outside looking in, I thought Destiny was doing fine.
Well,
so it's kind of coming as a surprise to me.
Not the case. Let's see. It cannot be fully confirmed among every employee, but at least to some, D2, Destiny 2 director Joe Blackburn, is not really considered to be one of the corporate culprits for how things went down. The expensive new building was a separate project that likely would not have saved jobs, given the context of when that was drafted and when work started. The $1.2 billion in employee retention from Sony was spent long ago, often on buying out employees' Bungie shares, which then went to Sony. There's nothing left in the pot to avoid layoffs, which wasn't what it was meant for this late in the transition. The trend line of spending on the game over time made the current year's revenues estimate somewhat logical. So yes, the 45% miss is important and was not necessarily some wildly inflated projection. However nearsighted it ended up being. There has been a real damaging drop post Lightfall. Lightfall's what it's called. In terms of players' engagement / spending. And Lightfall sold very well. Oh no, that was the last one.
Yeah, that's the last one. That's what I'm saying. It sold very well. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Destiny's still doing what it's been doing.
Yeah, it sold very well, but it just the
Wasn't
engagement
enough.
it wasn't enough. Employees are extremely angry with leadership right now and have often communicated that publicly in meetings. Bets were made that did not pay off, but those who made them remain in the company. Fact lost on. In terms of the final shape, which is the next Destiny update, the final shape delay was known by a couple of months ago, but it's happening late enough where there cannot be a 30th anniversary size drop to split the season, as that took around 8 months to build. There will be something in the season 23 gap, though no specifics were given. They want the final shape to not just be as good as Forsaken or the Taken King, but better. Excuse me. Hence the good, not great feedback that will be polished during a delay. It needs to be the best, and it's viewed as the key to turning things around at Bungie. The final shape campaign and features are reportedly quite solid, even in its current state, ahead of the planned future work. But they want to go even further. There is some concern that crunch to make that happen, even with a delay. So the company now, the Bungie is now shaping up or getting ready for crunch as well, along with the layoff.
Sucks.
Destiny overall, and then there's just some stuff about Destiny. Part of the new PvP strike was impacted by the layoffs. Significant progress had been made on the map pack already and should not be canceled. No significant changes have been announced to staff for the longer-term future of Destiny 2 plans because of these layoffs and the delay yet. No known plans to reduce support for D2 below old already planned levels. No info about the long term or something like Destiny 3. The ultimate goal is very much for Bungie to be a multi-IP studio with multiple games and revenue streams. But even if Marathon is a success, there are likely not plans for some huge mass migration from the Destiny team to the Marathon abandoning franchise. Let's see. Ty in the chat. Ty says, corporate Devroro in the building. Screw the workers. Wow. I know you felt that way, Dev. Ty says, to put into perspective, over 6,000 jobs lost in the industry in 2023. EA fired 8%, which is 600. CDPR let go 9%, which is 100. Epic let 16 go, which is 800. Unity let go 600, which is 8%.
And I think it feels like every week we're talking about layoffs. I
We
think
are.
the last 3 weeks were Sony, but I think this is just going to continue
I agree.
across the board. And it sucks. I do think it sucks, but it feels like,
So, a few other little things. This one, I was really, out of all the layoffs, for me, this was the most shocking. So, a veteran of Bungie, composer, Michael Salvatore, was laid off. Salvatore's history with Bungie dates back to his work on 1997's Myth: The Fallen Lords. His credits include the Halo titles, including 2001's Halo Combat Evolved, as well as both Destiny games and their expansion. That really blew me away that they laid off one of the composers of the Halo theme. Like, for me, I don't know, like, maybe it's just because I hold that piece of music in such high regards. Laying him off, like, blew me away. I couldn't believe it. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I said to someone, I was like, 343 has the opportunity to just do the funniest thing.
Right.
Well, because I was saying that about a few of the Bungie employees. I'm like, if I'm 343, I'm reaching out. Like,
you're right.
Like, if there's anyone you want in your 343 building, it's people from Bungie.
Like you said, I think a few weeks ago, there's rumors that the next Halo's been early development.
Yeah.
So, like,
I would bring him in. I would call him. Like, why not? Like, hey, you want to come work on, like, even if they're getting ready to retire, because obviously they've been working in the industry since '97.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you want to come back and work on one more Halo? That would be pretty cool to get, like, you know what I mean? Like, one of the composers to work on another piece of music for Halo. So yeah, really upsetting there. And then something interesting happened where there usually was like a message of the week from the Destiny team, and like people weren't sure if it was going to happen because the people that put out the message got fired.
Yeah.
So they did end up putting one out, and then Bungie also put out an official statement on behalf of the Destiny 2 team. In a post on the company's website, Bungie says that it has been one of the most difficult weeks in our studio's history, after letting employees go that they respect and admire. In addition, they say that they have heard what players have been saying about the game and want to make things right with the upcoming Final Shape DLC and the game as a whole. We want to acknowledge the feedback and concerns you have about Lightfall and recent seasons, as well as your response to the reveal of the Final Shape, Bungie said. We know we have lost your trust. Destiny needs to surprise and delight. We haven't done this enough, and that's going to change. The company then goes on to put into words what its mission or path is moving forward. We need to make the Final Shape an unforgettable Destiny experience. We want to build something that will be regarded alongside the best games we've ever made, a fitting culmination that honors the journey we've been on together for the past 10 years. Forsaken, the Witch Queen, the Taken King, these are the standard bearers we aim to live up to. The statement closed with the development team stating that fans will be hearing more over the coming weeks on the future of the game and the next expansion. Final Shape was delayed from February 2024 to June 2024. So Dev, like you love Destiny.
Yeah.
You said it before. So like as someone like I haven't played the game, so I'm kind of looking for some perspective. So where can you see where like it would be coming from in sense of like player counts dropping? Because like you said, the last the Lightfall, sold very well. Do you have any idea as a player of the game, like maybe what went wrong?
I don't, but it does sound like it's one of those. So based off what you were reading me, it sounds like in a weird way they supported the game too much, and it's something that we want. All players want that for a game, like especially we're still playing. But a lot of money goes into making this game, and then that's money you have to get. Someone has to pay for it, and if they weren't owned by Sony, it's money they couldn't afford. So it's like it's one of those double-edged swords where it's like I'm very glad you're working on this game and you're putting a lot of stuff into it. You're just not getting out equal amounts as much as you're putting in.
So I like the way you answered the question because it's going to lead to kind of like the final point / discussion point for the show. So we obviously have argued about games as a service. I think we have different views on what is acceptable for a game as a service, what makes a game as a service good. I feel like I already know the answer, but I'm just going to ask it. Do you think that Destiny 2 could show as an example about real longevity of games as a service? Because games as a service, like really in terms of like what we consider a games as a service game today, is a relatively like not a super old concept, in my opinion. So like, do you think that like this, like what we're seeing with Destiny 2 is really kind of like how do I want to put this? Like a grim ending for games as a service, like what they're, no pun intended, what they're destined to be? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Okay,
I think that's a little unfair.
Well, why do you think that? Because I think the expansion sold well, and yet player count plummeted.
Yeah, I think it's people just want something else. I don't know.
That's my point.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it's because it's a service. Earlier in the same show, we just said Fortnite just had its highest numbers ever.
Sure.
And it's just like that's a games as a service. It's the biggest games as a service that I think we have right now.
That's fair.
I think it's one of those where, as much as they're doing for Destiny, they're just not doing enough story stuff. Like apparently, I fell out of Destiny 2. I played a lot of Destiny 2. I fell out of it, but it seems like the last story was something that they were ending up like They were ending a whole storyline that you know what I mean? That's been going on for forever, and maybe that's what they needed.
So Ty speculates, it sounds like it sold well, but the live service element didn't keep people playing and spending.
Yeah. The game there has to be something. There has to be a reason for people to go back, and eventually you get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. You have to have something different.
I agree,
and I just think it's the same thing it's the same reason Halo Infinite died, and now it's back. From what I've heard with season 5, I think it's on, and like people are going into it again. I think you just need something that again, at the end of the day, it's still a game. People want to play a game that's engaging. You have to put something into the game
You remember that video I showed you the other day, yesterday, about the guy
the live service.
he got home from his job. He's like, "Oh, I got to go to my second job."
Yeah, you also shouldn't play 6 live service games at a time.
No, definitely not.
You know,
Like, I can tell you guys why I quit playing Destiny 2 is they started doing that seasons stuff. And even after you bought the newest expansion, all of a sudden you had to be part of the season thing and you had to keep buying stuff. And I was like, you guys have monetized this beyond me. I'm done. Sorry.
That's fair. And I think that is part of the games service model in my
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And I remember at one point, if you wanted to be a new player to the game, just to be able to play at that certain point was going to cost you like $120 to $130. I was just like, that's insane. How do you expect anybody new to come in?
Yeah, that's crazy.
if you want to buy your way to the top.
Yeah. Well, no, that was before they made everything free. So after that happened, everybody kind of freaked out. And then they're like, okay, all of the stuff from this point back is going to be free.
Yeah.
You only have to buy the newest expansion. It actually changed the way that they did business for a while.
Yeah. And I think that's good. I think you need more people yelling like that. We saw with EA. They did it with EA a lot with the Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah.
Like, you have to change. You have to do that. Make that your voice loud.
No, I mean, I definitely agree with that. See, so, again, I think we just kind of disagree about the value of games as a service. Because, like, for me, like, I do think that this, like, and yes, you can use examples like, you know, like Fortnite and stuff like that to kind of contradict my point. I totally understand that. But for me, like, when I look at Destiny 2, it just seems like, man, this is a game with great gameplay hook, with great storytelling, with great content, and it just, from my opinion, it just seems like players got sick of playing Destiny 2.
Yeah, that's all it seems to sound like. I don't think it's a.
I think games as a service, though, like, there's a good question that can be asked there is, like, when is the point, when is the job, like, the jumping, when is the drop-off point if you're a developer for a games as a service? Or is every games as a service just going to keep going till the wheels fall off, and then, like, you close down, or you lay off staff? Like, is that the end game? Because, like, if that's the case, I don't consider that to be a healthy games industry.
No.
I don't think it's a healthy way to do business.
I don't think that's the... Like, first of all, there shouldn't have even been a Destiny 2. You know, EA messed up with that. Destiny should have been the game. They were never planning on making a sequel. They were just going to build off that game. And everything that's in Destiny 2 would have been just Destiny. Like, it's just one
We don't think it would have met the same fate just because they did it too? Because I disagree with that. I think that, if anything, maybe EA gave them a few extra years of life.
I don't think so.
I'm saying, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it happen with Overwatch. They had Overwatch 2, and they completely killed Overwatch 1, and it's basically the same game. When Destiny 2 came out, it was basically the same game. It was like, I don't know.
So Ty says, I would like Bungie to make a single-player epic game like Halo, new sci-fi universe. None of this live service garbage. That's a beautiful comment right there. Bungie's problem, I think, is also Destiny. They really shouldn't have all their eggs in one basket. Imagine Activision relied only on Tony Hawk. He spelled Hawk wrong. It's okay. And not Guitar Hero, and then COD to keep them alive. I agree.
But like you said when you read in it, they don't want Bungie to be a single IP studio. They're trying to expand into other things. They have Marathon coming in 2 years, which I don't think you didn't bring it up, but they had a summit for people to play Marathon, a very early version of it. Everyone hated it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he asked someone, if this game came out tomorrow, who'd be interested in playing it, and no one raised their hand. That was the quote.
Yeah, well, they delayed it.
Yeah, I mean, you had to delay it. And it was the early version of the game anyway. So, like,
so do you think it's a problem more so with Bungie and not? Because something somewhere doesn't click.
Yeah. I think it's both.
Like, what do you think it comes from?
I think it's both. If you want people to pay for if you want people to keep putting money, if I'm playing, let's say I play a game for 6 months, I paid $70 for it. I'm playing it for 6 months. I love this game. My friends are playing it too. We're playing it together, and I have to drop another, I don't know, $20, $25 for an expansion that's going to last like another 4 months. I'd be happy. I'd be excited to do that. Like, more content to play the same game that I love with the same people and just like keep going.
Yeah.
$25 every couple months. Like, I don't know. To me, I feel like this is also coming from someone who I used to play MMOs a lot. I played WoW for almost a whole 8 months, 9 months, and I loved all of that. Like, so I guess it just depends on the type of person, the type of people you're trying to get playing your game, and the content that you're putting out to get them to keep coming back.
Shout out to RuneScape, by the way.
RuneScape. I don't know what the best, but yeah, it's great.
No, I loved it. I loved RuneScape.
RuneScape was fun. That was
so much
fun.
fun.
Probably the first one I got into.
Yeah, back in.
Yeah,
that was great.
computer class. I had 30 minutes to play.
We didn't know each other at the time.
Yeah, no.
We should play RuneScape. You want to play RuneScape?
Yeah, let's.
Not right now, but like,
Yeah.
that'll be the next game we play. We'll play RuneScape together. Ty says the problem is management. Ty says he thinks that Bungie overspends on making these expansions. They also likely have a lot of waste in their studios. Too many employees, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. It sounds like, again, it's a double-edged sword because they're putting work into this game. They're putting money into this game, and we love to see it.
Right.
It's killing them to the point where they have to let go stuff. So there has to be a balance in the management development. And I think you're seeing this. I think with live service games, they don't know where the balance is yet. They hired Bungie because they thought Bungie was the foremost leader of this. Yeah.
But we're seeing they're not.
Yeah, we're seeing that. We're seeing their cracks, and it's.
Which, like, also, and I implied it earlier, but like, if you're Sony, right? Like, just theoretically, like, if you're Sony and you're like, all right, games as a service is what we're going towards. Here's Bungie. We bought them for them to come in and tell our studios how to make games. And then so Bungie goes in, they're like, blast. It's like they go to all the studios and they're like, you guys need to be making live service games the way we make live service games. And then like your Sony is like, oh man, Bungie's doing a great job. And then they turn around and they lay off 100 people and like all this stuff about Destiny under delivering. And
again,
that's gotta be a shitty feeling if you're Sony.
I don't know, because we're just hearing a lot of the bad news. I do think there's going to be some stuff that comes out, and I think it'll be fine. Again, I think it's still too early.
I think you're more optimistic.
Yeah, I am more optimistic, I think, in this. I think it's still too early to like cast anything down.
Ty says they have 1,100 employees. How?
Which is insane. Like, they're still staying afloat. I think they're just not spending their money or, picking their battles correctly. So, like, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to see if all games as a service is a successful model.
It's hard to say, is it a successful model when it's been done for so long, and you know what I mean?
I guess
Destiny is still a thing, and they're still selling great numbers, and when the next expansion come out, it's going to be great.
We don't know that. They laid off their staff. They laid off staff.
Yeah.
For all we know, there's less.
But companies are doing great and laying off staff.
You have to assume that this company is now working with less people working, like with crunch added.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't mean it's going to be
1,100 people. You can get stuff done with 1,100.
I mean, I could.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We'll have an AI make the game.
Yeah.
At 1,100 people.
Yeah. I that's why I'd say it's too early to tell. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure, it's too early to tell. We're not going to know
if live service.
We're not going to know if PlayStation's gamble into live service worked for like at least another 5 seconds.
Yeah, and the whole reason people are pushing for live service is because they're seeing that it's working. It's working on the companies making money from.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say. I think the companies see that it's the cash cow of the of the generation.
Yeah,
it's the gimmick right now.
But if you put out an ass game, you're gonna get called out for it. I mean, Anthem has been a joke for an entire year. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When Anthem went away, people still made Anthem jokes because it was like, man, that game had a lot of potential in it, and they just shoved money into.
I mean, I will admit to this. I'll concede. I'll give you a little bit of ground here. You ready for this? I'll say that regardless of whether it was because it was a live service game or not, Anthem has totally ruined the name.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Anthem is like, it doesn't matter.
It became the poster child for live service games.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to play. I don't play Anthem.
Yeah,
ew.
Yeah, no.
It's like, oh, that Avengers game was great for the first 8 hours, then it became a live service.
That too.
Game.
That was like another.
Then it became a live service game, and it's like, oh, this is terrible after 8 hours. Just rent it. Go to GameFly, rent it for a weekend. Play 8 hours.
Yeah.
Send it back. Ty says, I think Bungie will be doing better because they have to refocus CDPR and a lot of people, and they mentioned it was for them to have better fighter teams. The Day Trading Doge has gifted 1 Broken Tables membership.
Hey.
JPC was gifted by the Day Trading Doge.
Nice.
I could be a lucky recipient of the Broken Tables podcast membership. Allow gifts. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's supposed to give it to a random person in chat, depending on how much that they chat. I don't think I've ever seen JPC chat, so hello.
Hi, I'm right here. Hey, JPC. You hang out with us, man. What's going on, dude? Yeah, especially because now you having a cool arcade cabinet. I don't even have that. I'm the host of the show and I don't have an arcade cabinet. But way to go, Doge. Way to go. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're gonna have to wait 5 years to see what happens with Sony. Anything else you want to add to that?
I just think there's nothing wrong with asking people to pay for content in your game.
I agree.
Make people want to buy it.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
I think it's one of your best takes ever.
And that's why live service isn't a bad model.
Now that you ruined the take. Now the take is ruined. The take is forever ruined.
No, it's
you ruined the take.
You hate the live service part because of the money part, but it's like if they make it worth buying, people will pay for it.
I mean, again, that's just how I look at it. And Doge once again reminds Jeffrey Vegas still need that gaming.
I told you got to come up with what you want, and I'll make it.
Again, I liked Doge's idea of doing like Link with a Doge face, like a thumbs up Link with a Doge face. That's what I want.
Okay.
I'll
figure something out.
In honor of the Doge, that's what I would like.
Okay.
But anyways, all right. So that's gonna do it for us here at the Game Room Podcast. Thank you to everyone hanging out with us tonight. If you can, please hit that like button and subscribe on your way out. If you're not catching us live, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the layoffs at I keep doing that. Destiny Bungie. At Bungie. And what you think about games as a service as a model.
Tune in for next week for more layoffs.
I mean, honestly, like, yes, that is actually a pretty
It sucks because it's like
safe bet. It is every week.
Yeah, every week.
I'm not seeking them out.
I know, and it's big news. Yeah, it's big news. Yeah,
every single week.
Yeah.
Especially the holiday time. Like, that's the thing. It's getting worse as we go because, like, people are getting laid off. Like, okay, so here's the thing, right? Personal stuff. As someone who has been laid off because of the budget cuts from a job during the holiday season, fuck that. Worst thing. Wait till January. I get it. Like, is it really going to cost you that much money to keep them on your payroll for 2 months? Just fucking do that.
Yeah.
Don't fire someone in October, November, December. It's like the scummiest bullshit. As someone who's lived through it, it's the worst thing.
But I guess the other, like, you do it in January and people are like, it's the start of a year and I lost my, like, there's no.
I get that, but being completely realistic and honest, again, someone who's lived through it, if I got let go in like March, February, I'd be like, I mean, obviously it sucks, but like, again, you're not able to put Christmas presents under the tree. You're not able to, like, you feel guilty eating Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I mean? Like, real stupid shit. So it's like, don't lay people off right before the holiday. It's fucking very shit. But anyways, that's enough now. We will be back Wednesday night with the Broken Tables podcast. We are reviewing AEW Dynamite. We will be back on Saturday after that with Collision. Coming up on the 18th, so next week, big week of content for us because we also have AEW Full Gear. If you like video games and pro wrestling, this is the place to be. We are always talking about pro wrestling, video games. Ty says, ideally, give them a heads up, maybe even a month. Let them try and find a new job.
I agree with that.
That's also great. That would also be a nice thing to do. Join the Discord. Follow us on our social medias. And we love talking about all the fun stuff, cool stuff. But until next time, we'll see you guys later.